Hello and welcome to episode 91 of the DaebakCast. I wasn't here for episode 90, so that was where the confusion came from. Anyways, this is a weekly podcast where the three of us come together each week to talk about K-pop and whatever's current in the industry. Excuse my potato cam and probably worse mic quality, most likely. I'm at home for a break and I didn't want to lug all my equipment with me, so forgive me for that. Anyways, as always, I'm joined by Nate.
I've been walking with the cheese that's the queso. Thank you, SM and NCT, for that gem.
Oh, man.
It's bad.
Also, as always, I'm joined by Andrew, who usually has three things.
Number one, I just came back from New York Comic Con over the weekend, and I had one night con plague, so I stayed home from work today. It was really fun. I didn't get to cosplay this year, but next year I'll probably try to think of something. And no, you guys should try to come down next year, because there's K-pop stuff. Surprisingly, I didn't get to go, but Jeff Benjamin had a couple of K-pop panels. So that was pretty cool. I got to walk around. I spent way too much. Here's literally, this is all how much just anime and Blu-rays I bought just in one weekend. Basically, whenever I go to Comic-Con, usually the booths, they only expect people to buy one or two things, and then I come up and just I want this, and then they just have a shocked look on their face. It's just oh, is he joking? So I always end up being that guy. I got a lot of Sailor Moon stuff, definitely, always. I got a couple Blu-rays. I got a couple. I got issue of the manga. I got this thing. It lights up. It's a moon stick. This is probably the closest thing
now you can take that to a J-pop concert.
Yeah, no, I'm taking this. I'm using this as my light stick for every concert from now on. This is amazing. And also, there's one other thing that I'll mention later, which will be a giveaway. So stay tuned for that. Number two is the postseason has come around in baseball, and for the first time since I was in middle school in 2004, the Red Sox and the Yankees are playing each other in the postseason, and right now the series is tied 1-1, and right now the Red Sox are winning Game 3 10-0. So I'm very happy right now because I believe you. I'm not sure, Jacob, if you'd agree with this sentiment or not, but fuck the Yankees, correct? Yes, Jacob approves. So
Yes.
Hopefully,
no, seriously, the Red Sox are my second favorite team, so definitely agree with that sentiment.
And I have to deal with Yankee fans all the time, so definitely fuck the Yankees. And number three, I just finished this amazing anime called Hibike Euphonium, and it's got me all types of messed up.
Sound Euphonium, is that what that is?
Yeah. Oh, it's
I
so
remember
good.
that from a few years ago.
Oh, it's so good, and I really miss playing music now, just because it's about the anime is basically just like K-On, except if you're familiar with K-On, but it has to do with concert band, and they play all these classical pieces and everything, and it really if you're like me and you grew up as a band kid or took any type of music class, you'll definitely appreciate it. So yeah, I really want to get back into music now, honestly.
But wait, that's not JoJo.
Hey, I'm getting there. I'm sorry.
Oh, I still have an alarm set on my phone for the day you said you'd start it.
Yeah. It's soon. TM. Just like you getting blown up back soon. TM.
Well, I do have it back. It's just it's been so long. Anyways, I'm Jacob. You already knew that. Hashtag no blown up, but only because I left it at school, so I don't have it here. Anyways. Without further ado, we can start with the topics. First topic is YG
Future Strategy Office.
Yeah, that show. It's on Netflix. I don't know what it's called. I just call it the YG show.
The YG show. So, I guess I'll take the lead
Andrew,
on this.
you can take the reins. Yeah, you suggested the topic, so go ahead.
So, this is probably the first, or just in general, Netflix has sort of made this commitment to incorporating more Korean variety and more Korean television content as exclusive programming, because they're really just trying to look for new reasons to subscribe to Netflix, because they're taking off movies like left and right, because Disney and all these other companies are just making their own Netflix subscription things, just kind of stupid. But yeah, the upside to that is that, again, we get a lot more Korean content. Like recently, Knowing Bros, I believe. Knowing Bros is now the exclusive or Netflix is the exclusive home to Knowing Bros now.
Well, it's not exclusive there.
Well, I mean exclusive in to the
English subs.
English subs. Yeah. Yeah, obviously it's still available in Korea, but yeah, they're definitely, they see that market. So that being said, we get this amazing show called YG Future Strategy Office, which is a collaboration between Netflix and YG Entertainment, and it stars arguably like the hottest member of Big Bang all year, because the rest of them are in the army, so they can't release any music. Seungri, as basically it's basically like The Office, but with like a K-pop twist on it. So they're playing like the intro of the show was amazing. It's just like, it's like this disclaimer saying like everyone's playing an exaggerated version of themselves except for YG. Yeah, basically. Yeah. So everyone, there's a lot of cameos and a lot of like artist features and celebrities on there. So like the whole like plot of the show is like basically they're just like the throwaways. It's like basically like punishment for Seungri, and they get into like all these like office antics and everything, and it's done in mockumentary style, much like The Office. The genius behind this, the show, is Park Jun-soo, who produced another mockumentary called The God of Music, which I never actually got around to watching, but I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I'm definitely gonna look into it after watching this. And it was written by Kim In-suk, who is a former writer for SNL in Korea. So there's a lot of talent involved with this. So yeah, I told you guys to watch just a few of the episodes, so I just wanted your thoughts on just like the whole concept in general. Like, we don't have to go into spoilers and everything because it just recently came out, so just speak at it like in vague terms, roughly.
Should I go first?
Yeah,
you can go first.
All right. So for me, like in the beginning, I wasn't really expecting much because of, you know, our open thoughts about YG and like how they're being run and stuff like that. But this show honestly has blown me away. I think it's hilarious. I think it's a great idea. All the jokes are like super self-aware and like self-deprecating on YG, which I think is really funny. So it kind of addresses a lot of the fans like qualms with the company like quite often, or like controversies that surround the company and people in it and stuff like that. And it's a lot of like self-deprecating humor, and it's a lot of fun, especially on Seungri's part.
Yeah, I'd say like Seungri is easily the driving force behind this, and I applaud his willingness to put himself through all of this. Yeah, because it's a very like, this show pulls no punches basically when it comes to the type of humor that they do. And yeah, because again, we're just so used to the concept of like basically like K-pop idols have to be perfect. There's nothing wrong with them. They have no scandals and everything. And basically like they just throw all of that out the window with this. Like Seungri's doing like really embarrassing and funny stuff, and it works. And that's probably the comedy in it. It's just because you wouldn't expect all these like K-pop idols who are supposed to be like the image of perfection to do all this comedic type of stuff. Nate, I know you only had a chance to watch the first episode, so what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is like Andrew said, this is based on my first episode. So I didn't like it as much as you guys. I like it, and I'll probably watch more of it. But yeah, I was talking to Victoria about it a little bit, and she was saying that like it's weird because it seems like it's too try hard at times, but it's still making us like I'm still laughing at it. And I agree with that pretty much exactly. Like, there are a lot of funny jokes, but yeah, it just seems like it's trying too hard to be like self-aware and raunchy, and to like the detriment of some of the jokes, in my opinion.
Yeah, I understand that. But
yeah, I do like that it's I do like all the inside jokes and that it's self-aware and making fun of how everyone's frustrated with YG. The other thing that is kind of I had an issue with that, like, it's kind of weird because it doesn't affect me at all, but it's going to affect most people, is like some of the jokes are really, really inside baseball. Like like you need to be really hardcore into the K-pop industry to understand. Like I'd probably say like 25% of the jokes. Like they just casually name dropped like Lee Sung-min once, and like if you don't know anything about Lee Sung-min and like his situation and what happened, like which was like 20 years ago, like you don't understand that joke at all. And so, like, that was another thing that, like, for me is not a problem because I understand probably the majority of them. But, yeah, even there were a couple of things in there that I didn't understand. Which, I mean, I guess is probably more reasonable for Koreans to understand as opposed to international fans.
Yeah, because they've been more exposed to the history of that.
Yeah, and, like, the celebrity scandals and stuff that we wouldn't, from a long time ago, that we wouldn't know. But, yeah, overall... Oh, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I actually really like that aspect of the show just for me because I guess as somebody who's been into K-pop and you know, Korean culture and stuff like that for so long, I think it's kind of nice having like, I don't know, I know it's more meant for Koreans, those kind of jokes, but it's like almost like they're like acknowledging me, whereas they're usually acknowledging more the new fans, trying to bring them in. So I kind of thought that was really good.
And the whole point of them putting this on Netflix and having them like partnering with Netflix to get this show subbed and everything in a bunch of countries is because they are acknowledging that, hey, K-pop isn't just a Korean thing anymore. We have a huge fan base, and there's all these people that know the intricacies and the history of YG and K-pop. So I feel like in that sort of way, it's just really rewarding if you're like us and you've followed all of this, all of these artists and know most of the inside jokes and everything. So yeah, it's just kind of like how, again, much like how it's a winning formula, because I mean if there wasn't any if Marvel didn't see any success out of like adding in all these Easter eggs and references to other, like, oh, they're teasing something for the future, or like, oh, it's like, oh, that's how gonna connect, it's all connected, like that was the famous like mantra and everything, like there's some sort of like, maybe it's part of like sunken cost fallacy or something, where basically like, oh, they want to reward people that have sort of invested this amount of time into K-pop and Korean culture and like know all of these sort of tiny details. And ultimately, yeah, it probably isn't made for, this show probably isn't for someone that either isn't into K-pop or only has maybe like a surface level. And I mean, maybe like I guess that's sort of the benefit to having just sort of the slapstick overacting nature, is that it's sort of, it's a style of comedy that doesn't necessarily need too much nuance or knowledge or like thought put into it, or like prior knowledge.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing that like bothered me, was because it did keep going back and forth between those two things. Like, yeah, it was either like the joke was just completely dumb and slapstick and like you didn't need to know anything to think it's funny, or it was like super hardcore inside baseball, you need to know 20 years of K-pop history to understand. It's just like these mixed together, like it just didn't feel like it fit for me with going back and forth between those jokes. Well, I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. It's just, and honestly, that's sort of like, I haven't watched The Office. Like, that's a huge confession. Like, because I know everyone's just like, oh my god, The Office is like the greatest like sitcom ever invented and everything. And I just never got around to watching it myself. And so like part of it, the reason why, I don't know, it's just been so daunting was, one, there's a lot of episodes, and two, it's just, yeah, there's some part of like that style of comedy that's just like super cringe inducing, and you're just like, oh, I can't watch this. In the it's just, that style of comedy isn't for everyone, just because you basically have to endure through it to sort of like, until you sort of like become numb to that aspect of it to start enjoying it. So yeah, definitely that isn't for everyone, and yeah, that's why this maybe if it wasn't for the K-pop aspects, it'd be, again, much like The Office, it definitely like take some work for me to sort of enjoy. But yeah, again, if the K-pop aspect of it, I definitely sort of reinforced my enjoyment of it. If anything, probably again, something like this probably wouldn't have existed if we didn't have like the backing, or if it wasn't centered around something like YG or whatever. Because and also just of all they're probably right then, like YG is probably the only like major company that could probably get away with this, because I could never see SM or even JYP doing something like this where they poke so much fun at themselves, or they're just this self-aware about all the scandals, or acknowledging scandals, because usually if not anything, like they enjoy, like, or they actively like try to sweep any like hint of scandal under the rug, as opposed to like making a comedic light of it.
I think oh, go ahead.
Oh, for me, I was going to say, I think that's the reason why it works so well, is because there's so much, I guess, fuel that you can add to the fire, is that, you know, like, they're, like, pointing out every single thing that we've been, like, almost every single thing besides the not releasing much music. Actually, they even kind of touch on that, even, in the last episode I watched. Like, they pretty much, like, point out pretty much every, like, problem we have with how the company is run, and they're, like, sort of being like, yeah, we get it, but, like, you know, like, for the not releasing music part, like, there is this I think it was the 4th episode, it was called, like, Plan B, and Seungri was like, why do we keep making the artists do things other than music? Artists should be focusing on music. And he keeps like he's trying to, like, reinvigorate Park Bom's career, and, like, make Icon, like, challenge people to, like, talent competitions, and, like, it's just, he's just making him do, like, crazy stuff, because he's like, artists should be focusing on music. And then there's, like, Jinu from Jinu Sean is in, like, a golf promotion with Son Na's sister, who's a golfer. And, like,
I didn't know that, actually. I didn't know that.
Really
That's actually pretty cool.
I knew Na's sister was a golfer, yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that she was related at first, but Nate, go ahead.
Yeah, with everything I said, though, like, I still do think it's funny. I'm still gonna watch more of it, and I did like Seungri a lot. Like, I think he's a good lead for this. I think he's definitely the perfect fit. As for other companies doing this, yeah, I agree. The only way I could see this happening somewhere else is JYP, if JYP himself was doing it. Like, if it was his show, and he was, like, the main character and just making fun of everything that happened at his own company, I could see him doing that. But I couldn't see, like, someone else, like, someone... I don't know, maybe I could see 2PM doing something like this too, actually.
Maybe, just because...
But I think another thing I was going to say is I think Seungri is perfect to be the main character of this.
Oh,
because,
100%, yeah.
Like, it's already been, like, a huge thing that like, they're sort of, like, grooming Seungri to take over YG someday. Yeah. And he's, like, characterized in the show as wanting to, like, kiss up to Young In Suk, and, like, he's like, one day I'll be the one who's leading this company, and, like, you know, stuff like that. So.
And again, it's just his willingness to make fun of himself and put himself in, like, compromising situations that no other artist would ever think of putting themselves in. Like, this isn't really spoilers, because it's literally, like, revealed in, like, the first, like, 5 minutes of the first episode. But the entire concept of the show is that he gets assigned to the future strategy office as punishment because one of his friends was taking a video of him falling asleep, and he just sort of has a complex of anyone, like, taking pictures of him while he's sleeping because of his sex scandal, which they make huge light of. I never thought they would do that, because that was such a black mark on Big Bang for such a long time. Like, that was, like, the biggest controversy and everything. So again, his willingness to just laugh at himself is really huge. And yeah, he's a great actor. Surprisingly, he definitely carried the entire show, and I'm just really surprised that. Basically, like, Seungri is, like, starting to, like I've been a Taeyong bias since day one, but man, Seungri is just starting to, like, ruin that completely, just because he's super, like, we enjoyed his album. Again, we gave, that was a unanimous 10 out of 10 for all of us, correct? Yeah, so
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he's just been doing amazing stuff, and yeah, I'm just, and in a way, it's a blessing in disguise, because I feel like Seungri never really got a chance to shine, because he like, pretty much, like, the two people that would shine in Big Bang were, like, Taeyong, GD, and then sometimes Top. But I'm glad that I'm glad that since everyone's away in the military, he's finally getting his chance to shine, and he totally deserves it. He's always been a super creative and super talented idol, and this just makes me appreciate him even more, just seeing all of this, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, like, I hope quite a lot of people watch this so that it gets renewed for, like, a season 2 or something.
Oh, well,
and we get it like I don't know, like once every couple of years or once a year or something like that.
I wish it was once a year, but and I want to see more cameos, and I want to see more people from because there are people from outside YG that make cameo appearances. Basically, I think this show is just like Sungri is just like, who am I friends with, and let's just make a show with all them, and that's pretty cool. It's just like because like they're able to sort of be in on all of the jokes and everything. So yeah, it's just a really cool project that I never thought I'd see, honestly. And also just like the style of filmmaking that they were doing is that if you'd see like there's some clips at the end where they just sort of break character, or they'd be like, oh, we're still acting, and like it's an interesting sort of thing, or they'd surprise them with some sort of things where they basically like to get like the most authentic reaction. So it's a really like interesting sort of filmmaking approach that they took to it and everything.
Yeah, I noticed that as well, is that a lot of it seemed very unscripted. Like, I guess I'll just spoil one moment. Is like I was talking earlier about like how I was getting Icon to go out and like challenge people. Like the first person they go to challenge is Sunmi, and they're like, wait, they show up at like, JYP's building, and they're like, wait, Sunmi isn't at JYP anymore, or what? And then Icon is like in the back, and like, we could have told you that. And then they go to find Sunmi, and like when I feel like Sunmi was not given a script at all, because she was just laughing at them the entire time.
Yeah, she could barely keep her laugh. Like she was gonna break. In the wrestling business, they call that corpsing. Like she was so close to laughing every single time, just because. Yeah, that's like generally like you have to give credit to everyone on here just for their like their delivery on it was it worked so well. So
yep.
Oh, I guess just final thoughts on it before we because I really don't want to spoil too much, because it's worth watching if you don't know anything going in, like not even like watching any of the trailers. Just like it's such a good experience going in blind.
Yeah, I talked about a few moments, but like that's nothing compared to like everything that happens. So
there's
just
so much.
definitely watch the show. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Definitely give it a shot.
So I mean, yeah, we don't give scores or anything officially or whatever, but it definitely gets all of our recommendations, and so which is surprising because again, we hate YG. We basically hate YG, but this might be like the favorite.
Yeah, but I like Sungri a lot.
So. Yeah, we love Sungri.
Balances out.
Yeah,
I like YG artists and stuff. Like just the company. It's you know.
Yeah.
Also, I just love that it self-deprecates the company. So like, even haters would like this show. I feel like so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You don't need to love YG necessarily to enjoy this. So yeah, YG Future Strategy Office is on Netflix, at least here in America. I'm sure it's Netflix in other countries as well. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yep. All right. So from here we can go into. Topic 2, which I guess, Nate, you can probably lead this one if you want.
Yeah, so basically we were trying to think of topics because we actually didn't have much to review this week. And we couldn't really think of anything, so we had I had a list from a long time ago when Jacob and I had to do a episode by ourselves where I just took a bunch of viewer suggested topics. And so I have like 4 or 5 saved up. And so we decided to do one of Rob's, who listens a lot and is in Discord a lot. But he was wondering, or he wanted us to discuss why we think guy groups are so much more popular than girl groups in terms of K-pop. I guess I could start. I mean, the obvious answer we're all going to give is just because the majority of the K-pop fandom's female and younger. So they're going to naturally go towards guy groups. I mean, it's the same thing that happened here in America in the 90s. Yeah. It's like in early 2000s, it's like why Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were the biggest things in the world because most of the people that listen to pop music are teenage girls, to generalize. Obviously we're all not teenage girls.
Yeah, because I loved it. And no, I loved NSYNC and freaking Backstreet Boys. You kidding me? That was my life.
Millennium album.
Yeah. I have their album somewhere in like the the packaging and everything, but.
But yeah, so yeah, that's the pretty obvious reason. I think it's probably more. I don't know. I feel like it's more accepted too. outside, or like especially for international fans to be into guy groups, because I don't know, there's just a stigma where like if guys are watching girl groups, it's creepy, or like whereas like girls watching guy groups is more okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely hear that a lot too. Like a lot of people, like, so I'm completely open about that. I like K-pop, like in like college and stuff. So a lot of people have a misunderstanding and think I'm just into K-pop because I like the girl groups. Which, I mean, it's part of it, sure, but like I legitimately just love the music.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, I wouldn't be doing this podcast. I wouldn't be.
Yeah, none of us would.
I wouldn't have a library of like almost 3,000 songs. You know, so yeah, I think again, like what Nate said, like there's less of a stigma towards you know, girls being into like boy bands and stuff like that. So, and it's also something that's already familiar with people because it's been a thing like for much longer, I feel like, at least on a big scale.
Yeah, you had One Direction and Justin Bieber, and like we said, going back to NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and stuff.
Yep.
Also, and I guess just to sort of follow up on that, I'd say like besides the fact that because it's all female or mostly female in terms of K-pop fandom, both inside of Korea and internationally, it's just there's a lot more instances where you have crossover when it comes to boy groups, where guys are more willing to listen to boy groups than girls are willing to listen to girl groups, just because, I mean, this isn't obviously like a kind of a generalization, but I mean, I've seen like firsthand evidence of it, like in person, where some girls are just straight up like, I don't listen to girl groups. And, you know, for one reason or another, but like some people or some explanations for it have been sort of like and this is like really extreme netizens kind of stuff, where they sort of see girl groups as a threat to they're like, oh, I don't want this girl group touching like my oppa in this boy group or whatever, because they're only allowed to like belong. It definitely correlates to that sort of mentality where it's where we get the term idol, where you're literally idolizing these people. And I feel like when it comes to K-pop fans, are less likely, female fans are less likely to become obsessed and idolize female groups than they are with boy groups. And I mean, obviously there are exceptions to this rule. There are a lot of like hardcore like girl group only female fans. I mean, like Soyou, like that's almost all girl run if I remember correctly, because when I went to the event back in 2011, the first K-pop event I ever went to, it was hosted by members of Soyou, and they were all girls. Yeah, and most of the people who were there were all girls. So it's just despite the lack of crossover, there's still an overwhelmingly female presence in K-pop. So that's why it just that's why it's
and
that way.
That's for international, it's different too, because just overall in general, international fans are more likely to listen to both. And especially because in Korea, you really only follow one group.
It's like the concept of multi-fandom is like that's taboo basically in like K-pop culture, where if you're pretty much, it's kind of like I remember like you were saying like, oh, the reason you didn't like 21 and like I think like 4 Minute, you didn't like 21 at first.
no, I love 4 Minute. It was just 21.
Yeah, you didn't like 21 at first because you thought they were a threat to 4 Minute, or like they were a threat to
Soyou.
No,
yeah,
it wasn't a threat. Nobody was a threat to SNSD. No, it was just because they were rivals.
Yeah. So that's why we have things like Black Ocean, and like we have a lot of like EXO versus BTS fan wars. Which, I mean, granted, that's a lot of international fans as well. It gets a lot more amplified in Korea, where basically you dedicate your entire life to one group and you never switch.
Mm-hmm.
I think one other point that I thought of at least was like a lot of people don't realize this, but a lot of what pushes the views and stuff on videos are casual fans who just are looking from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And most people from the outside are going to be like be more into, I feel like looking at like, oh, it's a boy band, I like boy bands, I'll watch this, like, you know, that sort of thing. So I feel like the casual observer would be more attracted to click on a, you know, BTS or EXO or GOT7 video than a I feel like Twice is the exception to this.
Yeah, Twice,
like, you know, a girl group video, for lack of
pretty much. Twice
example.
and like Red Velvet to some degree are probably the only exceptions, at least in the current landscape.
Blackpink as well.
Blackpink, I think, may be more internationally than they are in Korea.
Oh, you mean in Korea? Yeah,
in Korea, but yeah.
I was speaking overall, but
yeah, but there are exceptions to the rule. I thought it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy where it feels like members of guy groups definitely get a lot more exposure when it comes to either being in CFs or when it comes to being in like Variety or doing all these sort of different events that sort of leave them in the public consciousness and the public spotlight, where I guess they're while there are a lot of female idols that definitely get a lot of those opportunities as well, it's definitely a lot more reserved than male idols would be. And I mean, obviously, and because like the whole concept and just with like female idols or currently active female idols that act is just kind of like a landmine of just like things you can't like basically just like pretty much there. I forget what show Wendy was on, or not Wendy, Joy was on. It was like some drama or whatever where basically like she had a kiss scene and she basically looked like a dead fish throughout the entire scene, just because she's probably like thinking like, oh fuck, if I actually look like I'm into this, everyone's going to hate me for the rest of my life. Basically, it's just like there's just too much like sort of concerns when it comes to having like active female idols or become actresses or just be do anything other than just making music basically.
I think another thing as well is it can also become sort of a chicken and egg scenario where, like, to begin with, there's only, like, I could count on only maybe one hand the amount of groups that can stand up to the biggest guy groups toe-to-toe. You know, that'd be SNSD, Red Velvet, 21, Blackpink. Actually, I think Blackpink's really popular still in
Korea.
Korea, yeah. And then, did I say Red Velvet already?
I don't believe so.
I don't know.
Okay, Red Velvet as well, because they actually have a lot yeah, fans.
Yeah,
like,
Red Velvet's...
like a few years ago, one of the exchange students, she was like a huge Red Velvet stan, like from Korea. So yeah, it's just like there's not an abundance of giant girl groups. I feel like it's getting better now, like in the new generation. So
Twice has definitely brought it back. To the levels of like Sochi and stuff. Because like after SNSD started like losing steam, it definitely girl groups kind of fell off for a bit.
I mean, SNSD was also not for nothing. They were the group that really they started girl groups back up.
Exactly.
On a big scale, that is. Like, sure, there was like Wonder Girls had just debuted. I think Kara had just debuted as well.
Yeah, Kara was right before, I think.
And like they were complicit in that as well, but like SNSD, like they really were the ones to jump start it, and you know they really, I guess they lived up to their name, Girls' Generation. Like they started something big, and so yeah, I think there actually is a shift starting to happen slowly but surely, at least, where at least the girls are picking up more of a market share than they did previously.
Definitely, and. Not to bring everything back to Produce 48 all the time, but I do think like it's worth mentioning that it definitely is a sort of a genius sort of concept for Akipi to bring it over to Korea, because again in like J-pop, or at least when it comes to like female J-pop idols and idol groups like 48 Group, it's exclusively male. There's like almost no female fans basically, and much in the same way that it's almost like when it comes to like male groups, it's just mostly female fans. Just because I guess it's just like it's sort of almost like a inverse situation where it's kind of almost less I feel like it's almost less accepted for females to be really into idol groups, whereas it's so when you think
it's
of
opposite in the US.
we're almost like an opposite of Korea, where in Japan it's almost like the pretty much when you're thinking otaku, like the super like super anime and idol groups, almost exclusively you think of a male, like a male that's just like super like obsessed with that sort of thing. You rarely think of female fans in that situation. So it's a genius idea to sort of bring consciousness and publicity for the 48 groups into Korea, where most of the fans are going to be female. So that's actually a really like surprising or just interesting wrinkle to it, where most of the new fans are female to this, whereas like basically most female like K-pop fans, or just most female fans, wouldn't really touch the 48 groups, just because it's just such a different style, or it's not necessarily a style that appeals to female fans necessarily.
Yeah, it's definitely pushed more to engage male fans.
I mean, obviously they have like beach like music videos and everything, so that's not gonna appeal much outside of like people that really love like Yuri and stuff.
I definitely do think that's interesting, though, the point you made where how in Japan it's mostly like male otaku, whereas like in the US or in Korea it's like fangirls. Like they're basically the same thing, however they're thought of as completely different.
Yeah, the concept of fangirl is just, I guess it's less of a
It's female otaku, basically.
Yeah, it's less of a stereotype in Japan, I feel like, than it is in the rest of the world, where just like that stretches outside of just K-pop, just like even when I go to like stuff like Paramore or 21 Pilots, like it feels like most women are just it's like mostly women that are into like, or that seem to dedicate themselves to like pop. I guess it's just maybe I don't know, maybe it's just because like with men there's just almost sort of a stigma to like it's just like it's sort of like a stigma. It's like, oh, you can't be into popular music, you're only supposed to be like into certain types of music. And I mean, I break all that because I love going to Paramore concerts, and I used to love going to 21 Pilots concerts before everyone there was just like 13 years old. I'm just like, fuck that. I'm not trying. I go to non K-pop concerts to escape the fact that everyone's 13 years old. But yeah, that's definitely sort of an interesting correlation that or it just seems like female fans are more willing to be like super dedicated to one group, whereas like, I mean, you do have exceptions. I mean, obviously you have like most like Deadheads, like fans of Grateful Dead seem to be male. So it definitely seems like it varies by genre, where it just like, it seems like males.
It depends on the type of music.
Yeah, men are just like less likely to sort of dedicate themselves to pop music, where they'd probably be more likely to dedicate themselves to like rock or like super underground hip hop, which is almost all. Yeah, like I remember the first time I saw Year the Ox at Jesse's. They opened for Jesse. They were like, "Wow, we've never seen this many females in the crowd before." Because like most people that listen to hardcore underground hip hop are just all dudes. So yeah, it's an interesting sort of crossover situation where K-pop gives exposure to sort of genres that you wouldn't normally listen to in that sort of way.
I think it also might be a generational thing where, like you were talking about, Grateful Dead fans are mostly like male, whereas I feel like nowadays most rock fans that I meet are actually like women. Or really? Into like rock bands, particularly like punk and stuff like that. It's usually girls.
There's a huge like
than guys. Whereas I feel like metal is definitely more men that I meet that are into metal than women. But like with stuff like punk or just general like alternative and stuff like that, it's usually music. Girls.
Yeah, it's a lot more balanced, and I mean, obviously I'm sure there's a lot of like female fans that are like into like, I don't know, like Gwar or like some like super like hardcore like metal sort of things. But yeah, metal is definitely a genre that's sort of definitely more skewed male. And I'm sure, Nate, you'd know way more about that than I do. You've been to way more metal concerts.
I mean, I haven't been to too many. But yeah, definitely skews male. One actually thing to go a bit back to something Andrew said was like comparing otakus to fangirls. Like, you said like it's a stereotype, and the interesting thing there is otakus are a stereotype, but fangirls are just an accepted part of, like, I feel like teenage girls it's just generally accepted for you to be into a guy group, where a guy being into a girl group is a stereotype. Like that's it's a stigma. Like I said, it's a stigma. So I think that right there is another is a big factor in that, like, guys don't want to be stigmatized because they like girl groups, or even if they like guy groups. There's like a stigma there too, that like, oh, you're gay or if you like guy groups.
That notion of just like girls like being really into like any like male art, that stretches back to like the beginning of music, when like girls would faint over like Elvis and the Beatles and everything. Exactly. So that's just
the beginning of popular music like was based upon that of fangirls. So yeah, like I think that's like right there is the root of the issue, that it's a stereotype for guys to be into pop music, but for girls it's just generally accepted to be okay. So there's less male fans in that because of that, or at least less open male fans.
Yeah, because I mean, you some degree you kind of have to hide it, or just like, or to some like compared to like the actual.
You just don't give a fuck.
Or I mean, yeah, you just after a point, you just stop giving a shit. But I mean, like to compare to like the.
For me.
Oh god.
Well, for me, I went through all of high school like this, so I just quit caring after a certain point. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't get into it until college, but I mean, yeah, like there was I've definitely surpassed most of the actual like my actual Korean classmates that I like sort of got to know in college, where they'd only be sort of surface level knowledge, whereas like I was super into it. So yeah, it definitely, we are the sort of exceptions and rarities to this, but I feel like it is starting to change. I mean, there's at KCON, I mean, there's definitely a lot more like guy fans, especially when it comes to like, especially since they've definitely did a better job of balancing both guy and girl groups this year than it was last year, where it was just like 90% like Nuku guy groups and just like maybe one or two good, like it was like twice and like I don't know, just like so like yeah, basically that was it. So
that's actually one thing I noticed actually is that there might be a lot less guys at like KCON at events like that, but
the guys that do go,
a lot more of a percentage of them that are more into it like we are, where they know like literally everything. Yeah. Whereas I feel like a very large chunk of the girls that are there, like obviously there's a ton of hardcore girls there, but I mean like there's a big chunk of them there that aren't as into it as we are, and they're more into like there to see one group or just a couple groups and yeah,
they're very rare. Or I feel like they're a lot more willing to be like all arounders. Whereas it definitely feels like and I guess it's just it's just the nature of boy groups, where like BTS and EXO, where you just end up dedicating yourself to one of them. So it's just hard to follow a lot of other groups in that sort of way. But when it comes to like, I guess it's just sort of just the circumstance of you rarely get to see girl groups here in America, so it's hard to be a fan of just one girl group. Whereas basically, like boy group stands have been eaten since like 2012, basically. Where
they come like every year.
Yeah, so it's a lot easier for you to become like as an international fan. It's a lot easier for you to just dedicate your life to one group than it is to one boy group than it is to one girl group, just because the likelihood of you seeing them like every year or multiple times a year, it's a lot more than with girl groups, unfortunately, and that's something I hope does change. I mean, and I do see like more and more guys getting into K-pop as it sort of starts to transcend niche territory and sort of just, I mean, now that it's becoming sort of something that basically all they've been talking about it on like local news is BTS and how people were like camping outside since the Thursday to see the concert on Saturday sort of thing. So once it hits that sort of like a mainstream level of recognition, then maybe we'll start to get more guys or more male fans that sort of are willing to basically just like be like, yeah, I'm a fan of K-pop, so what? So that's my hope, at least.
Yeah, I definitely identify with your thing on like you can't really stand just one girl group. Like if I literally only stand SNSD, like I will probably never see them ever. Literally, will probably never ever see them in concert. But like, you know, that's I guess is the plight of the
girl group
K-pop girl group stan. Yeah, as you know,
especially
there's that possibility that international fans, you might never see them in concert. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm really
if you
hoping
live in Korea,
that like,
you can see them like every week. But
yeah, definitely.
Yes, that'll be me next semester. Please, please have like tons of concerts. Like I'm looking at you, Taeyeon.
You just gotta skip all of school and go to music shows every week.
But I need to pass.
Okay, I think that was pretty good. Any final thoughts?
No, that's pretty much it.
Covered all of mine. So.
And I mean, yeah, if you have if you have any thoughts on this, definitely let us know. Especially if we definitely have a lot. I feel like we have a lot more male K-pop fans in our community than in others normally. So
yeah.
So definitely, like I'd like to hear from you guys, even or if you're a new listener or viewer just stumbling upon this topic, yeah, just definitely let us know like what your sort of experience is as one of like the few male K-pop fans, and sort of like what you would think or what you think the sort of trajectory is when it comes to boy groups versus girl groups, because yeah, it's definitely something that's still open for discussion.
I'm also curious to see a girl's perspective from like the outside as well, and also a female girl group stan, like their perspective also.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, because
definitely, I guess leave your comments down below for sure. I'm curious to read them.
Yeah, because the only few I know of probably are just like Aubrey and Paige, in like on a personal level, and then maybe there's one person I follow on Twitter that's dedicated to Blackpink. So yeah, so like there are few and far between, but definitely just make your voice heard, because we're very interested in this perspective.
Yep.
Okay.
Part 3.
Topic 3. Who wants to run this one?
Which one is this?
Yuri.
Jacob, go for it.
I guess
Jacob,
I'll do it. Sure.
Yeah, and then I can do Soyou.
All right, cool. All right, so this topic will be basically our thoughts, our review of Yuri, Kwan Yuri, her first mini album. She's from SNSD, in case you lived under a rock. So yeah, basically like my opening thoughts on it before I get into the tracks is, why did she not have an album sooner?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think that's just a general thing with Soyou. Like, why did it take Taeyeon so long to have a first solo album? Like, her first solo album didn't come until like I was in freaking college, and Soyou has been popular since like way before that. So I don't know. That's just an interesting thing as to why it took them so long to get solo albums.
Yeah. All right, so I guess I'll start out with the first track, which is called Into You. And this is the title track. So right off the bat, I was pretty surprised by I guess like the style she went with, because it's very it's like very like European like EDM style, which I definitely wasn't expecting. I was expecting more of a like, I guess, SNSD style, but this is definitely welcome. Like this, I think this echoes a lot more into like Hyoyeon's realm with her like DJing career, like this sort of style. But yeah, I definitely was super pleased with the direction she went with, because I think it definitely stands out a lot in I guess in the K-pop scene. Like, we don't usually get a style like this that often.
Yeah, I echo that pretty much exactly. Like, it's honestly pretty basic EDM song, but I like the simplicity of it. And yeah, it's straight out of like early 2000s like Euro EDM, like Cascada, just more like a more chill version of it. So yeah, I liked it. It was different. It didn't blow me away, but I did enjoy it. And I kind of feel the same way about the choreo as well. It was good, but it didn't really blow me away either. And then the MV was basically just a dance MV, but I did like the use of color in it. Like, it was I liked the different sets of color and how they did that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the negative Nancy.
Andrew
on this
hated
one.
it.
I hate it. Not
You hate it? Oh, okay.
I don't know. Hate's a strong word, but I don't know. It just didn't feel like it. I don't know. I was just super going in. Maybe it's just sort of expectations, because I was super happy going in. Where like, oh my god, she's finally getting a single, and I've been waiting for her to get a single or a solo album for the longest time. And I loved the song that she did with DJ Raiden earlier in the year. It was just more of like an EDM, like a true like American style EDM song. And maybe those expectations are why I really feel that it's a lackluster single. Like. And again, it's a victim of being juxtaposed against like the millions of other K-pop songs that sort of go with this tropical sound, and at this point it's just super boring. And
I'll talk about that after you're done, I guess.
I don't know. It's just, it doesn't really offer anything new or really worthwhile in terms of single. In terms of being the lead single, like. I when it comes to scoring albums, I definitely take that into account. Like, what are you promoting this album with? Because like they're like K-pop, that's paramount basically. Like, what's your single, or like what's the focus of this album? And I feel like this wasn't it. And I didn't have a chance to look into this necessarily, but I'll trust Cooper's word in that apparently Lil Touch was originally supposed to be Yuri's debut single, but it was adapted to be SNSD OGG song, so maybe they were just left scrambling, and they turned this into a single, which makes it more understandable. But I don't know, I feel like there could have been there's definitely another song, or there's other songs on here that I would have much preferred to be the single. And I mean, just in terms of the music video, yeah, I don't know, I really didn't know it. I mean, obviously Yuri's hot, and like I really like the choreography and everything. It's just, I don't know, yeah, it didn't blow me away at all.
I think for me, because I am getting kind of sick of the, I guess, tropical house trope as well. However, I think this stands apart from that quite a bit, because it's not just the same exact thing that we've gotten 100 times. And I don't think it's really a tropical house song as much as it's more of, like, again, like when I heard this, I was like, this sounds like almost like a Swedish pop song kind of.
Where do you think tropical house came from, dude?
Well, yeah. I realize that, but it's not like literally just copy paste tropical house. It's just, I don't know. You know.
To me,
that kind of thing, I guess.
Because I actually listen to tropical house outside of K-pops, or I listen to a lot of like EDM outside of K-pop, so that's probably why it just like I'm just like, yeah, this pretty much it sounds just like the same as anything else I've heard. So that's why I'm more prone to sort of just not being a fan of it as you guys are, since you don't listen to much EDM outside of K-pop.
All right, so I guess from here we can go into the next song, which right off the bat, this is my favorite song on the album, like just straight up. When I first heard it, I was like, this reminds me of a song that I've heard before, and I have no idea what it is. Not a bad thing, but yeah, like it's just, I don't know. I just like this sort of vibe from Yuri. I feel like this actually I would have preferred to be the title track over Into You. I think it's just as marketable and stuff like that. I think the only thing really is it might have less animated like choreography or something like that, because it's like more of a slower pace. But yeah, overall this one is the song that I guess interested me the most, because it's less cookie cutter pop and is more like, I guess, maybe on the alternative side of things. So yeah
so it kind of a bit reminds me of the beginning of Something New by Taeyeon, especially with like the layered vocaling and stuff, and I really liked that aspect of it. Yeah, I agree pretty much. Like, this is a really interesting sound that is not anything like I'd expect from a song on Yuri's album, and I liked it a lot. I agree that it could have been the title track.
Again, this is another song that like all of you are really like high on, and especially Cooper. Our friend Cooper changed his name in our group chat to Illusion is best song of the year or something like that. But I don't know, just another one that didn't kind of win me over. And maybe again, it's just Yuri is definitely she's definitely a victim of coming last, or at least coming later after other members of Soshi, or just other like girl group members of her sort of generation doing solo projects. In that the vibe of the song I do enjoy that aspect of it. It's just, it reminds me a lot of something that Tiffany would do. Just she's definitely, again, I feel like all of Soshi just grew up on the same sort of like American singers, like maybe like a Christina Aguilera, or that style of early 2000s music with like a sort of like strong female vocal sort of thing. It's just, I don't know if Yuri necessarily has the like dynamicism or the sort of like power in her voice to carry something like that. And I mean, she's still a good singer. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's you really have to bring it on the vocals for a song like this, and I don't know, it's just there's something that definitely felt a bit lacking when it came to the song in my eyes. And I did want to like this song because I really love the vibe of it, but yeah, it's just, and I don't feel like I really hate feeling like I'm shitting on her talent or her ability or whatever, but yeah, it's just how I feel when it comes to, and maybe it's just because I have really high expectations for everyone from Soshi, because there's like, I think that group is untouchable to me, and sort of like I have high expectations when it comes compared to like everyone else that has done solo music as well too.
I think, see, for me, that's one thing I actually liked, was that she's not trying to, I guess, go all out with the vocals or do anything like spectacular, as far as spectacular as in being like a huge spectacle. As far as like vocals go, like that's one thing I really liked in Tiffany's Teach You, is that like in the bridge part, I'm glad she wasn't trying to just belt out like these huge notes or anything. She was kind of just. You're like, here I am, this is, I'm, singing at my own level, and this is just my own sort of, I guess, emotional take on what I'm singing about, kind of thing. So
the only thing is, though, like, Tiffany's kind of earned something, or earned that style just in the sort of manner where basically I feel like she had, again, going back to like the dynamics of her voice, where I feel like she's able to bring more to the vocal performance, even if it's not belting.
Whereas I feel, of course, like, I feel like the difference there is, Tiffany was on vocal line, Yuri is dance line,
dancing. So exactly. That's definitely, and obviously that's still a fault to her necessarily. It's not her initial forte, so to speak. Where definitely the one thing they need to work on in production is make the melody maybe a bit less one note. I don't understand basically she probably doesn't have the range of a Taeyeon or a Tiffany or a Soyeon, but I still feel like there's definitely more that they can do in terms of like the actual like melody and songwriting for it. So that's the one thing I'd suggest when she eventually comes back with another solo album, which I hope she does. Because I mean, I want to support all of the Soshi members in what they do. So I still hope she gets another chance, another shot at it.
Yeah, Yuri, and also Sohyun. I really want to see more solo music from, because I feel like Yuri just came out, so obviously we've got time to wait, but I feel like they've both only just got their time to shine, and they really need to I guess come back in the ring. I want to see what else they can do.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess just the one thing I do want to be lenient on, obviously, is that this is her first effort, and I mean, the team at SM probably, unlike Taeyeon, where basically we thought My Voice is just untouchable and a perfect album, where in my case, where I thought Winter is Coming is like the perfect
crazy
album.
person.
Yes,
where Taeyeon's had a chance to iterate upon it, whereas the like Yuri, this is her first shot at it, so she really hasn't been able to nail down what her sound is. So like, definitely a lot of this album is it's the feeling out process of, okay, what works and what doesn't. And I feel like, they're definitely going to learn from this, where, okay, we think this works better with your vocal style, or we think this would work better as a single sort of thing. So I do see room I do think that they'll be able to improve upon it from like the sort of baseline that they established on this album.
Yeah, I think ultimately what I'm hoping for is she comes back with like, either be another mini album or a full album, like something with more of like I guess like a dreamy pop sort of vibe. I think she would fit that really well.
We'll get there. The next.
Yes. So, speaking of which, the next song is C'est la vie. That's life in all capitals.
So it's a cover of there was a song called C'est la vie by this random Irish girl group called Bewitched. And there's the translation of C'est la vie is That's Life, which makes it's a dual cover of that Bewitched song and the Frank Sinatra song.
Anyways, immediately what I thought about this song was like as soon as it started, I was like, wow, this sounds a lot like a Japanese SNSD song from maybe like the first album. Like I think it would definitely fit pretty well. But I think it's mostly because of like the electronic style of the chorus. And one other thing to note is I really, really loved her vocals in the verses that lead right up into the chorus, which like it's sort of lulling in and like it's like bam, we're in the chorus now. I really, really love that.
Yeah, this one, I don't know. I liked it, but like it's weird because, well, like the verses are house. And then it picks up and like just becomes like kind of generic EDM during the chorus, and I kind of just wish it was a chill house song. So like it's a little, I don't know. I guess it went in a direction I didn't really want it to, but I don't think it's a bad song. I just kind of wish it kept that more chill style.
Oh, this one's easily my favorite song on the entire album, man, because this is I want something like this to be, or this type of sound to be what she goes for in terms of singles. Mostly just because I'm a huge fan of like deep house and like Disclosure and that type of sound. But again, going back to like my issue with Into You, where I feel like I wanted something that kind of reminded me more of what she did with DJ Ryden, and this is definitely a lot more of I feel like the EDM style. Again, EDM vocals aren't very demanding, so it's something that could definitely fit in her vocal range, and I feel like she definitely portrays that the best, especially since she's really into dancing and everything. So like doing choreography to house music was like that's definitely up her alley. So yeah, I just really wish this was the title track, or this was the single for the album, because I love every bit of this song, and this song has the dynamicism and like the emotion of her vocals that I feel were missing from the previous song. Just like I feel the emotion coming out of this song mostly, and I know that like I do love the contrast between the two, like the verse and the chorus. Though again, I'm definitely a lot more used to it, having listened to or listening to deep house a lot more outside of K-pop. So that's probably another sort of contributing factor. But man, this is what sort of saved the album for me. Definitely, I feel like I would have gotten a much worse score if it didn't have this song on here.
So, coming up next, we have the song Butterfly, which I believe was produced by DK and Andreas Oberg, right?
Possibly. I
think that's what people were saying.
I didn't have a chance to check, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, anyways, I really enjoyed the song. It was very similar to, just like SNSD album track style, like something you'd find on probably like the Boys album as one of the album tracks. That being said, even though I did really like the song, I think it stands out too much from the other tracks in the album. It doesn't really fit that well. I think I don't know. It's just that I feel like I would have went for a vibe that's more similar to Illusion and C'est La Vie and Into You for another track there, and then from there lead into Chapter 2 and ending credit, which is the next tracks. So I really, really like the song. Just as standalone, but I feel like it doesn't really belong on the album. So I guess that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, this reminded me straight up of like Day by SNSD.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing song.
No, yeah, I love that song. So yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. Nothing else to add, really.
No, I'm just checking, and no, it wasn't. Surprisingly, it wasn't a DK.
Oh, it wasn't?
And
I thought somebody was saying that was.
No, the arrangement, the lyrics were done by Sojin Jun, and the arrangement was done by Curtis, Richa, Aiden Lewis, Ruby Prophet, Silent Man, and Gavon. I've never heard of any of these people.
My bad then.
That being said, I really enjoyed this song just because, like, again, what I was really looking for here, or in this album, was just like, again, that emotion and that sort of like depth to her vocals. And I do feel like, even though it's kind of a happy-go-lucky song, I do feel that in this track, which is why I enjoyed it a lot, even if it is just kind of a simple like kind of like happy song. But again, I love this, like the sort of, there's a sweetness to her voice that I really enjoyed. So that's, again, we usually sort of hard pass on these types of songs, but yeah, that's probably why I enjoyed it. I appreciate the texture that she that her vocals had on this. And again, and I'm more willing to sort of like overlook like the drastic change in sort of style and emotion, just because again they're definitely, this is a feeling out process like I mentioned before. So we're gonna get a lot of different sounds from her until they sort of figure out what they want to go with in terms of what will Yuri be as a solo artist. So they're definitely figuring it. They're still figuring it out.
Yeah. So. Yeah, on the Reddit post, it does say that it's Daniel Klein, Charlie Taff, and Andreas Oberg. So, I don't know. We'll have somebody confirm it for us.
Yeah, somebody confirm that in the comments, just because I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and maybe I'm looking at something else.
Yeah, because Reddit says they did. Wikipedia doesn't. Somebody, if you actually
somebody's
know,
right,
us.
Somebody's wrong. I don't know.
I guess if somebody gets the physical album, it'll say in there. So
yeah, it'll say on the liner notes. I should get that done.
Anyways, from here we can go into the 5th song, which is called Chapter 2. It's a ballad. It's a very good ballad in my opinion. I think this is definitely the song where Yuri's vocals stand out the most. You can feel the emotion in her voice. You can, and there's, she does very well at like conveying a solemnness in the actual like feeling of the song itself. And I think, the instrumentals definitely lend a lot to that, but I think her vocal performance is what really sold that for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't expect this, to be honest, because like Yuri obviously doesn't have the talent to match like Taeyeon in ballads. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought she did a really, really good job. And I like how empty the song is at the beginning and how it builds with the strings and stuff near the end. I thought that worked really well.
I don't know, the emptiness is what killed that song for me, because again, I do love her vocals in this, but man, I feel like it would have been better served if they brought the strings a bit in earlier, because I feel like that's where, I don't know, I just felt like that's the only interesting part of the song, honestly, like where it's just mostly just, and I'm usually a big fan of just vocals and piano, but in this, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just a bit too cliched, where I feel like the strings would have probably helped complement the solemnness and the emotion of her voice better. So, yeah, that's the only miss of that song for me.
All right, so finally we have ending credit, also called To Be Continued. This is also a ballad, but this is more of a like acoustic R&B style ballad. And I actually like this one even more than Chapter 2. I think, like it is sort of like a 90s instrumental style. However, I think it fits Yuri pretty well. So I like that quite a lot. Also, the chorus was really well done in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought the song had some like really cool effects on her voice to give it like that dreamy feeling. Also, there's like some chiptune sounding synths for parts of it, although they're pretty subtle. So it's definitely stood out, and yeah, I thought this was another great song on the album.
I don't know, this one, it's another lackluster one for me, just because I feel like the vocal performance just kind of comes off kind of flat, especially during the chorus where it's like do 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 do, like I don't know, just like for the chorus it just felt very like monotone almost. And again, I need to hear that level of emotion from her voice to sort of really appreciate it, or to really enjoy it, honestly, just because I feel like, I don't know, like granted, like yes, Soshi obviously, so I'm gonna have a huge bias or huge preference, but I do still have expectations where I feel like you still have to show some level of, or high level of vocal talent to some degree. So it was a really lackluster way to end the album, unfortunately.
All right, so I guess we can get into scores. For me, so overall I gave it a 9. Really the only thing that took away from it for me was just that I think Butterfly was either in the wrong spot, or it should have been or should have had like maybe another track that was more I guess like dream pop style again, like in between maybe C'est La Vie and where Butterfly is now, or just something a little extra, I guess. So I gave it a 5 out of 6 for music. I did 3 out of 3 for concept, just because I enjoyed the MV. All our stages have been really nice. Album art it's simple, but it's really nice and pleasing to look at. So overall I gave it a 9 because obvious bias point.
Yeah, I gave it an 8. I gave it same 5 out of 6 for music, just because I liked all the tracks a lot, but there wasn't anything that like utterly blew me away. And then I only did 2 out of 3 for concept, just because, yeah, like I liked the MV, but like the choreo didn't really blow me away or anything. And then 1 out of 1, obviously, so 8 out of 10.
Oh, I'm gonna be that guy, huh? 4 to 6 for music. And again, I'd say the problem with this is, I like my albums a lot more balanced. Where I feel like, the sort of shortcomings that I felt were had in Into You and some of the other album tracks, unfortunately, didn't necessarily outweigh how much I loved a song like C'est la vie. That being said, again, it's a first effort, so I'm a lot more lenient in this case. So I do hope that this provides a good blueprint for where they want to take her music going forward, and hopefully we see more collaborations and maybe some features to sort of spice up or maybe make it a bit more interesting than just her singing alone. And I definitely love to see her do maybe a duet in terms of a ballad style. 2 out of 3 for the concept, because the music video didn't do much for me. Granted, the teaser photos were incredible, but I don't know, just the music video were just very run of the mill. And I'm obviously gonna give it a bias point because she's a member of Soshi. So 7, 8, 9 is our total.
So it's an 8.
It's an 8.
Not truly Daebak album.
I'm sorry. I love you, Yuri.
Granted, I didn't give it a truly Daebak album either.
Yeah.
But I thought
They're
it was
horrible
really
people.
I thought it was really
horrible
good.
People.
I thought it was really good, but it wasn't truly Daebak.
How could you? No, I'm just kidding. All right, so I guess from here we can go into topic 4, and whoever is leading that can take the reins.
Nate, go for it.
That'll be me, the resident Soyou stan. So we are going to review Soyou's new. I think they're calling it a full album, but it's only 6 songs, so it's kind of weird.
Says EP on.
Does it say
Apple
EP?
Music.
Okay, I read somewhere else that it said full album, and
Get
I
out
was
of
like,
here!
that's wrong.
You get out of here! Who are you, Kanye?
Yeah.
You can't make 7 track full albums. Come on.
We're doing.
What they should do is just combine Reborn and Refresh.
Well, I mean,
that's the 100%. That's the repackage, because there's a part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So we're reviewing Soyou's Part 2 Refresh. Like we just said, it's the sequel to Part 1, which was Reborn, I believe. And the first track is All Night featuring Shike, which is the title track. It's a Latin-inspired pop song, which is pretty popular nowadays. But I like her voice can literally I don't know, it's one of my favorite voices in the entire industry. I love her voice so much.
Yeah,
100%.
And it fits the song really well. I like the choreo. The only downside is the rap part. It's it's too intense for the song. Yeah. And then it's also mixed weirdly, so it's too loud. At least in the music video. I don't know if that's different in the actual track, but it seems like in the music video it's a lot louder than everything else. And then what the hell is happening in the music video? She keeps turning into a cat, which is weird. And
I don't mind that.
A dude.
I love cat girls.
But no, I love the song a ton. It's nice that they're doing something a little different than just another R&B song, which she does a ton of and kills every time. Which there are some on the album. But loved it.
Oh man, the instrumentation on this song might be one of the best I've heard all year. Just there's to sort of break it down and to some degree, I love. Again, they're definitely going for that Latin, flamenco vibe. I mean, they're definitely reinforcing that with the visuals of the music video. They're in some sort of CD bar with all these red sort of things. You kind of think of I don't know, just I don't know, just bullfighters or whatever, and her dress is very flowy and all that sort of thing. So they're definitely going for that, and with the that sort of tiny hints of accordion to sort of bring that sort of sexy European feel to it, and the castanets and the sax part. Obviously, you can't go wrong with it with sexy sax. So just there's so much intricacy here that I really appreciate it, and obviously that's only going to be enhanced and improved by Soyou's incredible vocals on this, and again, all of that just happens to mix together so perfectly with just a tiny bit of a trap beat, so it sort of helps modernize the song in a way, so it doesn't sound too traditional. Which I don't have a problem with, but we're obviously going for pop music here, so I do appreciate that aspect of it. I know obviously you guys are sort of like hit or miss when it comes to trap drums, but I do feel like they added something to this track. Like I know, Nate, you said your problem with the rap verse was that it felt kind of out of place and it was too loud. I just wish it didn't exist, honestly.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Sick
K. Yeah. I agree. It just doesn't even need to be there.
Like no disrespect to Sick K, because he's a pretty good rapper. Just it didn't need to be there. If anything, what I would want is, my favorite part of the song actually doesn't involve any of the traditional instruments playing during the chorus or Soyou's vocals. It's actually that piano break is incredible. I'm just like, why not put another piano break in between instead of having Sikei's verse there? Because I thought that really added to the song, and I love how they incorporated that. And just a sort of production note, this was produced by Groovy Room, obviously because you hear the groovy area intro. Yep. And Oreo, who also goes by Iggy from Iggy and Youngbae, does a lot of G-Friend songs and that sort of thing. So yeah, Oreo's been doing a lot of my favorite productions. So she outside of Iggy and Youngbae production, she might be working her way onto that producer of the year list, because she's everything she's touched so far has turned to gold this year.
Yeah, I think for me, I pretty much echo what both of you guys said. Collectively, I really, really like the instrumentation. Her vocal performance was fantastic. She had a little bit of attitude, which I liked. She's not just singing it; she's really singing it.
So he was all attitude, man.
Yeah. And again, the rap part. Honestly, I feel like they could have done without it, and maybe had another verse or something like that. Or use it as a bridge, or who knows. Either way, I think they could have used that time more wisely, I guess. So overall, I really, really love the song. It's just the rap break was kind of unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. Next, we have Decrescendo. So this is an R&B song. Like I said, it's pretty much Soyou's bread and butter. There's some hints of indie sounds in this, if that makes sense. Yeah, it gives off that lounge feeling. I thought there were a lot of really cool things going on in the instrumental of the song. I didn't actually write any of them down specifically, but yeah, just overall the instrumental stood out to me.
This song was a hit or miss for me, unfortunately, because I really wanted to like this so much, just because I'm a really big fan of that sort of electric guitar. With just a sort of sound profiler pedal that they're using on it, because we get a lot of that from Off on Off, or just with, I don't know, this definitely gives you a bit of a haze vibe to it, but I don't know, just maybe the one thing that really, or the main culprit of what kills the song for me is the mixing, because it definitely feels during the chorus it gets way too busy now. I'm just why can't I don't feel like I can hear Soyou's vocals properly amongst the drum beat and the bass, the bass line and the piano all going at the same time, and where I don't feel it's leveled properly. So if they fixed that, I probably would have enjoyed it a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I enjoyed this song quite a bit. It actually, when I first heard that guitar riff opening up, I was like, what the hell does this remind me of? And I just figured it out, actually. It reminds me a ton of the intro of Dream, which was the collaboration between Baekhyun and Suzy. It sounds it's a similar guitar. The melody itself isn't really the same, but yeah, overall, the vibe of this song reminds me of that, but with more R&B rather than I guess what I'll call a coffee shop ballad kind of thing.
Just indie music.
Yeah. Yeah, overall, I actually like this quite a lot. I like the I guess sort of the progression with the instrumentals and her vocals, they flow so well. It's just got me going this kind of as far as the actual, I guess, visual in my head. I think this one's probably my second favorite behind one that shows up later. I enjoyed the vibe of this quite a lot.
Yeah. Next we have When I'm With You. This is another R&B song. This is more slower, more acoustic focused. But yeah, this is just the standard Soyou R&B song. I felt like this one probably stood out the least to me.
Oh well, I mean, I love this style from her, so I'm obviously gonna. Oh yeah, this is
great,
one of my favorites. Yeah,
it just didn't stand out.
I don't know. I just like I feel like for me, just like there's still something like we get a lot of this type of music from a lot of Korean artists, but there's just something to the timbre of her voice and what she brings to this type of song that's definitely puts it like a step above the rest. So yeah, that's why I still just in general, but outside of like maybe All Night, there's nothing that necessarily among the album tracks. There's nothing that necessarily is very cutting edge. It's just that she's very. It's just so refined to a degree that she's able to transcend maybe the sort of overplayed aspect of a lot of this style of music. So she definitely has that going for her.
Yeah, for me, I enjoyed this quite a bit. Though I agree with Nate that I think it stands out the least out of all the tracks. And I think it's mostly just because it's surrounded by these other really good tracks. It reminds me a lot of something that probably would have been on like IU's Palette album. That's probably where I'd see it being if it were on any other artist's album. And yeah, overall, I think it's good. It sounds like something that'd come out of like SM Station or something like last year. So, yeah.
I think it stands out the least to me just because this is what Soyou does so much. That like, whereas like All Night was something completely new. This next song something completely new. So yeah. So next we have Funny, and holy shit, there's a Soyou Tropical House song. What the hell? I didn't expect that to ever happen. And like it's just weird because like her voice still fits it. Like I don't know. Like I obviously loved it because it's Tropical House and it's Soyou, but I liked it more than I thought I would. I thought it could like come off as weird, but it didn't. The only thing that's interesting, like. I wonder if this album was meant to come out earlier, because like it's October and like you don't usually put Tropical House songs on this late.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely a summer song.
I think her being on Produce 48 definitely pushed back her schedule a bit, just because she had commitments to that and that sort of thing. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if this was supposed to come out a lot earlier, because her first album came out pretty like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Reborn came out in 2017.
Oh, man, that was 2017. Damn, I forgot.
So it's been a while, and so yeah, I'm wondering if this was recorded like before the summer and was meant to come out during the summer and just got pushed back. But I loved it. Surprise, surprise.
I'd say for a Tropical House song, I enjoyed it. And that's like a backhanded compliment.
The qualifier, basically. Yeah. You have to put the qualifier
on there. Obviously, I love her vocals and everything. I'd say again for Tropical House, I do enjoy the instrumental mostly because it's, I don't know, just like there's a style of Tropical House that K-pop does that I'm just sort of over, and this sounds a lot more like. Maybe more like Western Tropical House, where like specifically this reminds me of like kind of like one of the progenitors of Tropical House, Matoma, where like that beat in the intro or like that first beat was just like, oh man, I was just like, whoa, this sounds like straight up like actual Tropical House, not just a K-popified version. That being said, I think the only nitpick I'd have with it is I don't know, just like I'd say the chorus kind of falls flat a bit. I kind of wish you just cut the showcase. Like, I feel like a Tropical House song with Soyou should have just done maybe a bit more interesting vocals wise when it came to the chorus. But I understand it's just sort of the genre where you're not gonna get Soyou belting like high notes on a Tropical House song. But yeah, that'd probably be the one change that I'd make.
Yeah. Overall, I enjoyed the song, although as well as with When I'm With You, it didn't quite stand out as much, probably just because, again, I'm like Andrew, I'm a little numb to the Tropical House stuff, again, we say this every episode, but like at this point, but like it's just it's becoming tropey, I guess. Like I like it, however, it doesn't I guess I can't really compare it to something like, that does fit in there, but I like a lot more, like maybe like something Chungha would put out. It's just it just like falls flat a little bit, I guess, even though it's I do think it's a decent song.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Next we have Shadows. So this is an acoustic ballad that kind of becomes a rock ballad. There's a really great focus on guitar, and there's a focus on both acoustic and electric guitar, which is awesome. Like there's even a guitar solo near the end. So yeah, I think this actually might be my favorite song. It's tough between this and All Night.
Easily my favorite.
But it's definitely up there as one of my favorite, or like one of the best ballads I've heard in a while.
Like, the only words I really have to say with this, it's basically Soyou trying to do her version of a John Mayer blues song. And that's literally all you need to know. Just the guitar in this is just, it's to die for. It's so good. And just hearing Soyou's vocals behind this, it's a match made in heaven, basically. And again, without that guitar, it'd probably sound more like a traditional, or like something we've heard from her before.
Yeah.
But man, that guitar really brings this song home.
Yeah, I agree. Like, that's one thing that I said was, like, the guitar really makes the song, and her vocals, especially in the chorus, like, they just really, really hit hard, like, emotionally, and, the way she delivers it, it's just, really nice, I guess. She's really showing her, like, how much experience she has, I guess, singing, and, this is what I love to see. Like, this is the type of stuff that I'd like to see, like, Bullpagan do a little more, like something with, like, some electric guitar.
That'd destroy you, man.
Stuff like that.
That'd destroy you.
Dude, I would love it. I'd listen to it every day. That's what I did with Travel, so.
Yeah.
Over the summer, I listened to Travel, like, several times a day. But, yeah, I really want to see like a acoustic live version of this song. I would love that. Like maybe on Sketchbook or something with a live band. I would love that.
And finally, we have Little Moments, and this is the piano ballad. And yeah, she kills it as always. It's a great ballad. So you just fit for this type of music, R&B and ballad stuff. So.
Oh yeah, I thought this was excellent way to end the album. And obviously these type of ballads are her forte. Like, this is pretty much all she did. Like, when she was still doing Sistar concurrently with releasing like solo music, most of her music would just be like OSTs and like that sort. So yeah, this is her bread and butter easily, and she's still, again, you'd think we'd get sick of it by now, but holy crap, just her vocal. There's just something about the timbre of her voice that she brings something so special to the table that it transcends it being a ballad, where it's just, you just have to pay attention to it. And I love this song. It's a great way to end the album.
Yeah. So I thought this was an excellent ballad. Like, again, it's all due to, like, not even anything musically for this one. It's like her vocal delivery is really, really what, makes this shine, is that she, again, has so much experience. Like, now at this point, she's, honestly, she's become like one of the leading female like K-pop vocalists in my opinion. So
definitely.
Yeah, this was a great ballad. Definitely as far as emotional delivery goes.
Yeah, it's great too, because like Sistar wasn't known for being a vocal group. Like her and Hyoden, even though have great vocals, but like they were definitely a dance group.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because both of them are always brought up in the who's the best K-pop vocalist exactly. Conversation, even though they weren't known for being, very vocally heavy. Whereas like, I guess on the other hand, like SNSD, they're always talked about like how good vocalists they have.
Yep.
Taeyeon, Jessica, Seohyun, Tiffany, even Sunny is sometimes like.
And that SNSD correlation is probably why we like her vocals a lot, or just her ballads a lot. Just because when we say it sounds like a Soshi ballad, that's literally like the highest compliment we could give anyone, basically. And I'd say that whenever I hear Soyu's voice, it sounds like something that Soshi would put out, and Yeah, that's just our indicator of quality, basically, or just what makes a song good.
Yeah, I think Starship definitely has a similar like singing style that they teach to their trainees.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's something that I definitely appreciate.
Yeah.
Like that one video that was linked a while ago, like the girl imitating different like singing styles of companies. Like it's definitely true to a certain extent, and I think Starship and SM definitely have a similar style, which is a style that I personally prefer. So I think that's one reason why I really love Soyou's singing style. It hits in a similar way that like someone like Sohyun or Taeyeon hits to me, and
it's nostalgic.
Yeah, it really appeals to me, I guess, as well. So
yeah. Okay, let's get to ratings. For me, I gave it a 6 out of 6 for music. I thought all the tracks on the song or this album were great. And yeah, like All Night blew me away because it was different. Shadows blew me away. So yeah, I gave it a 6 out of 6. I gave it a 2 out of 3 for concept. I thought the concept was really good. But it was the album didn't feel like a 10 out of 10 for me. It felt close. I'd probably give it a 9.5 if we did have.
Yeah.
But so I just gave it a 2 out of 3, but it was close. And then a 1 obviously for bias. So I gave it a 9.
I wanted to give it a 9 so bad, but like I don't know, there are still like qualms I had about mostly just like some parts of even All Night wasn't perfect, honestly, so I couldn't really give it, I don't know, I couldn't really give it a perfect score music wise, despite how much I enjoyed it. So yeah, it's a 5 out of 6 for me on the music front. And for concept, again, 2 out of 3. Again, for as much as I love the sort of visual aspect of it, it wasn't something that was just too cutting edge, though they did a very good job of making it fit. So you did a very good job of fitting the concept, and this artwork is dope as hell. Though I'm sure Jacob's gonna mention that as well. And 1 out of 1 for bias, because she's definitely becoming one of my favorite female vocal singers, and I definitely gained a newfound appreciation for her after Produce 48, where I really didn't get into Sistar until like towards the very end, basically, whereas you guys have definitely been paying attention a lot longer than I did. So yeah, I'm coming around finally to it. But so yeah, that would total out to an 8 out of 10. So Jacob, carry this one, please. I actually want this.
Right, so
I kind of want this to get shiny.
yeah. So for me, I gave it a 5 out of 6 for music. I liked all the songs. It's just that when I'm With You and Funny, I felt that they didn't quite bring as much as the other 4 songs did for me. Though. So yeah, I really enjoyed like all the songs on the album. It's just that 2 of them didn't really do it for me quite as much to push me over to the 6.
Yeah.
So for concept, like Andrew's saying, album art, I really, really love the painting style that she went with for this one. Like this is way better than even the cover for Reborn, which I also think is pretty cool looking. The music video, I thought it was really visually appealing, even though it didn't like totally reinvent anything. And then I think overall I'll still give the concept a 3 out of 3 because it feels like a 9. Like if I were to actually score this, if we could give 0.5s, I'd probably do 5.5 and 2.5.
Yeah.
But so I'll go with 5 and 3 and then 1. So overall it's a 9 for me.
So
we gotta give somebody a truly
a
Daebak
shiny today. So yeah, that's a 9 overall. Just for reference, we gave part 1. I gave it a 9, and you guys both gave it an 8. So very close to part 1.
Yeah, so she held serve basically when it comes to scores. But I mean, that being said, don't let the scores fool you. Like I love her vocals so much. So,
wait, what did we give it?
An 8 overall. I gave it a 9. You guys both gave it 8.
Okay,
yeah, and I'd say
it was an 8 overall.
Right.
And I'd say
I think this one's way better.
Yeah,
actually,
this is definitely
opinion,
it's a market improvement. So I'm in anticipation of her next solo project. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's it.
Yep. All right. So I guess with that I can round us out. So yeah, I guess thanks for listening. I guess tell us your feedback about the albums in the comments, whether it be about Yuri or Soyou. I guess on their respective videos, that is. Tell us your thoughts about the new like YG, I guess, office style show that they have on Netflix. Your experience as a, I guess, like off-brand K-pop fan is, I guess, what I'll say. Say stuff like that. Yeah.
We're the RC Cola of K-pop fans.
yeah, basically. Anyways, I thought this episode was actually really good. So yeah, tell us what you think in the comments. Subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. Like, that really helps. All that stuff that everybody always asks you to do. Just yeah. Also join Discord. It's mucho lit.
Yeah, Discord is mucho lit.
Mucho lit.
What do we got up? What do we got upcoming?
Nothing.
Just
your giveaway.
Oh yeah. Okay. Giveaway time, guys.
Did you forget?
I know. I was just waiting for you guys to like hand it over to me. So
lead you into it. Yeah.
Okay, so like I mentioned at the very beginning of the episode, I went to New York Comic Con, and as part of that, there was something called the Anime Fest, and I ran into a artist who goes by the name of Ritz, or I believe she also goes by Sora, and she had this amazing like BTS sort of like merchandise, like keychains and all this sort of like art and posters and sort of stuff. So I cleared this with her first, and so I will be giving away these BTS ID cards. So I'm trying to hold this up to like the it just gets blown.
It's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work. So I'll just like so basically they're just BTS ID cards, and like they have their names and everything on them. I'll probably just put an overlay, or I'll just put an image on top of this in post editing so you can see clear. So yeah, these like basically ID cards, and like they have like all their details. So like they have their real names and everything. So it's like hobby, figure collecting, specialty, freestyle dance, charm point, dimples, sort of thing. So these are really adorable. And also there is a pencil case which has dope and fire on the back. I had to get the one with fire on it just because I love this. They're like playing the Super Nintendo around the TV and everything, and just like I really love her art style. So yeah, I just really wanted to and just as members of the K-pop community, we really have to sort of like look out for each other and sort of promote each other, and this is some excellent work. So here's the rules. Number 1, you have to be subscribed to our YouTube channel, which if you aren't paying attention is youtube.com/trulydaebak.
There's a button under the video.
Oh yeah, if you're listening on SoundCloud, there's a link.
Yeah, I guess if you're on SoundCloud.
If you're on SoundCloud or iTunes, there's you can look us up at that URL, youtube.com/trulydaebak. Number 2, you have to follow her on Twitter, and her Twitter is @AlphaSasuke. I'm not. Yeah, she's definitely a Naruto and anime fan, so we can definitely relate. Number 3, here's the kicker. So you have to pay attention, and because we can't just, we don't want to give it away without like you doing some work on your end. So you have to add up the final scores from both Yuri and Soyu's album and leave that in the comment below. Wait, what?
Individual scores, or
you have to add
the
up
averaged out score?
No, you have to give me the full number. So it's like this number plus the number of Yuri's score plus the number of Soyu's score equals, that's the number I want.
Okay.
That's the number I want you to give.
But not my number of Soyu plus your number of Soyu plus his.
It's us as a truly Daebak's final score.
The average score for both of them.
Yeah.
Show your work.
Yeah. No, you don't have to. This isn't
show your work. Yeah, do the long division by hand.
Yes.
So yeah, you have to write that. So make sure you write that in the comments, and also if you're leaving, you have to leave the comment either in this video, which is part 4, or you'll have to leave it either in part 4, which is the Soyu review, or the full episode. And make sure you leave your Twitter handle so that we can double check if you're following her and and obviously we're gonna see if you're following us. Your YouTube channel, your YouTube account has to be public for us to be able to cross-reference and check, or for you to be eligible. Because if you're private, there's no real way for us to check if you're subscribed, unfortunately. So that has to be the caveat. And let's say we'll put this out for about a week. 2 weeks, maybe. I don't know how long do you think would be good? A week?
Yeah, 2 weeks sounds fine.
All right, so
and then we can do a random number generator or whatever.
All right, so 2 weeks from okay, so this episode, this part would go out on Thursday, and the full episode would go out on Friday, which is the 12th. So, 2 weeks from the 12th would be the 26th of October. So, by October 26th is when we'll put our deadline, and we'll obviously tweet this out, and we'll definitely promote it on future shows and everything. So we'll let you know. And yeah, so as best as possible, I'll try to make it open to international fans, because I know we have a lot of fans, or we have a lot of listeners that aren't inside the U.S. So I'll do my best to keep it open. But I mean, if it does end up being an issue, I'll just let you know, and I'll try to pick somebody inside the confines of the United States. But I would like to keep it open, because I know there's a lot of you out there, and I don't want to leave you guys left out, because a lot of them, like a lot of the guys like Fleur and like Flixer GK on our Discord, they've been here. They're like day ones, so I don't want to leave all the Europeans and all the people from everywhere else out. So those are the rules of the contest. So these ID cards and this pencil case thing are up for grabs if you follow this contest. So good luck to everyone, and I hope this doesn't turn out to be a disaster.
I mean, worst case, no one comments, and you have some BTS photo cards.
Hey, I don't mind keeping
case,
it.
So.
I don't mind keeping it. And even if you don't win the contest, definitely just check out Ritz's work. Her stuff's amazing. And hey, she was lucky enough she was actually able to go to the City Field concert and everything. So she definitely seems like she's a dedicated army. So yeah, we really got to support and promote them. So yeah. And she was really nice too. And she when I got to talk to her.
Okay, that's it.
That's about it.
Yep. Stay funny.
Stay
throbbingly funny.
Oh, hey, that's my. Bye, guys.
Annyeong. Then she did some solo stuff, a lot of CFs, but then she decided, I guess she decided she didn't like the way JYP was going in terms of if she was gonna make the new girl group, or if she was gonna have to. Maybe she had a problem that she didn't want to compete in 16-2, and they were gonna make her do that.